I, for one, can't wait for the movie theaters to get back open. At this point, we're expecting movie theaters to come back in mid-June or early July. I was actually looking at the studies saying, or the stories that were saying that was going to take to late July at the latest, because a number of movies are going to be coming out that will actually be coming out for people to go and watch. There's Unhinged, there's Mulan, and there's Tenet that are all featured big box office movies that are going to do very well, hopefully, if everything works out with people coming back to the theaters. So there's a new EDO study, and that's a moviegoer study, that if you didn't know, Edward Norton is an actor that actually is partnered in this company and that he's part of the name of the company. Yeah, there's actually that. If safety measures are in place, moviegoers will be able to go back to the movie theaters and watch. If they follow social distancing, they're going to do it. So in their study called Movie Theaters and Social Distancing, here's what we got. 75% of respondents said we're more likely to return to cinemas upon the reopening if movie theaters implement safety measures. And here's the study. This is what they got. These two charts right here are highly likely and somewhat likely. And you see that it accompanies right now, 40% is the mark right here. So they're coming almost 40% each. So make that 75%, a little more 75%. Unsure, again, 25%. You have the other 10% that's unsure. I think they're just on the fence. And then somewhat likely, highly unlikely, that makes up another 10%. But there's a lot of people that are going to want to come back. And that's good for the box offices. And that's why it's interesting when I talked about the story on my Broadcasters podcast about how this past week Amazon was interested in buying the AMC theater group, AMC Entertainment. And if not them, there's a lot of talk on the industry rags about why not another movie studio doing it because of the Paramount consent decrees being taken out of place. Those were removed last year. And now we have this going on where if AMC can't hold up with the money right now and there's somebody wanting to go and buy them out, if Amazon taking them up as a studio wanted to do it and multi-platform so they can also promote Prime and Amazon and everything else they're doing, they could do that. That's not a bad idea. But with that study right here, that actually just gives further proof that the box offices are not going to die. The theaters are going to come back, and they're going to come back pretty well. And it will take a little bit of time for everybody to get back into business. Now, the only thing I was a little bit worried about was when I saw this story from Headline talking about this, how they tried to show how you would have these seats right here, and you would have people that would have these barriers in between. Look at this right here. You see this? There's one idea for the theaters. In a Dutch theater, they put an idea where they would have plexiglass up in front of the seats, and they would have these barriers every couple of feet in between to kind of block everybody off. I'm not sure if I like that so much. I mean, maybe, but that's a little claustrophobic to me, I guess. Plus, the other thing is that when you're talking about already trying to clean up a movie theater to make sure that you have it ready for the next showing, you already know the movie theaters are not going to be able to show as many movies as before. Then again, they're not going to have as many movies to show because there's going to be so many that were in production that were backlogged and pushed back. So you'll have a limited amount of movies that will be going to theatrical, to exhibition. Then you're going to have probably all those theaters that need to be occupied, which means you're going to see a lot more showings and a lot more screens. So it won't be that you'll have one screen that will have, here you go, 5-6 times we're going to show a movie, and then we're just cramming into one place. No, they're going to have to spread them out. So they'll have probably multiple times for a movie, but then they're going to make it available too, because if we're going to have a limited capacity, say in Florida where I'm at, 50% capacity is right now what we're going to have for restaurants and for retail. Eventually, if movie theaters come into play, we're going to only probably have half capacity for a movie theater in the first place. So you got to basically pick seats in between, which they already have at AMC and Regal and others. They already have no more general admission. You now have to select your seats. So they'll just block off seats if they need to. And if they do that, then they can just keep everybody's distance out. And then with the screens, you're just going to have more bodies around to be able to clean up, because they can't just keep a theater like it normally was back in the day with popcorn stains or drinks or cheese and all this other stuff that's going on the floor. You have to get all that cleared out. All the trash, all that's got to cleared out much better every time you get out of a theater or into a theater. You're going to have that happen. So that's something that's got to be done pretty soon. That's what they have to do to change things up. So that and the concession stands, you want to make sure they can see that everything's being done to spec and everything's kept clean. And there's not a whole lot of trash flying around that, the kid's going to go ahead and just be able to handle things a little bit easier now. Make it much safer. And also the bathrooms. Bathrooms in a movie theater can be really bad if you're not taking care of them. So they're going to have somebody there. Like at my movie theater, they actually had somebody there that would normally take care of business that would, have a good clean through once a night, even though the other, theater employees would actually do cleaning, but they would get the janitorial crew to do a full scrub down of all the facilities altogether. But they're not going to be able to do that. They're going to have to do it internally, and it's going to cost more money for them, but they're going to have to figure out a way to do it. I don't know what you're going to do. And then concessions, I would imagine, might get a little bit of a change too. I don't know what that'll be, but I don't like this idea here of these plexiglass and these barriers. I don't like that so much. That doesn't look so good. Now, moving along in the study, cinema safety protocols will encourage moviegoers to head back sooner. 91% said theaters should have hand sanitizer stations throughout the building. 86% are in favor of limited show times to allow for extended cleaning times between screenings. That I'm in favor of. They should do that. Other factors encouraging the population to come back: employees wearing face masks. I don't think so. I think we're at a point where the face masks, we don't need to see that so much at the moment. I think I guess it's only for a while longer. Maybe just for a few more months, and then we kind of just drop that off. Now, employees getting their temperature checked before work and attendees wearing face masks, all 70%, above 70%. And there's more that respondents were polled initially. They were asked outright if they would return to cinemas. And again, we just talked about the near split reaction between likely and highly or unlikely. But with safety measures, respondents who said they were likely to return increased when you add the safety measures. If you're just going to let the theater be just like it normally is, then it will be 40%. But if you're going to add the safety measures to make people feel comfortable, 75%. And that's what they got with that. So here's more of the study right here. Upon reopening, again, these are the new things. No new measures. Again, it's around 10%. If you add that people will wear gloves, it will be in the 30% role. Audience members check for fever, you'd put that more into the 55% role. And that's what they're doing. You're just like, okay, what if we added this measure and did this to make you feel more comfortable? And then this. That's the idea. So now respondents still click on the same streaming service they've learned in this study that they've been watching since before the crisis. Netflix has the biggest control of the pot with 50% of people watching. And then those who head to cable, satellite, or broadcast TV makes it for 15%. 15% of these viewers make up Hulu, 10% with Amazon Prime, and Disney Plus at less than 10%. Then when they're talking about the issues with movies coming out and how the disruption of movies not going to exhibition or going to the theaters and going straight to digital. So being able to go ahead and order it on YouTube or Amazon Prime or whatever. There was a thought about how Trolls World Tour grossed $100 million. But when you look at the amount of money that they didn't have to pay to a theater group, to the cinemas to distribute their movie out, which the theaters get a 55% take of. Meanwhile, if they're putting it straight to digital, the streamers will only ask for 20% of it. So the movie companies will actually get 80% back as opposed to 55% that goes to the theater groups. Here's the idea. So Warner Brothers has the movie Scoob this weekend, and then there's Universal's The King of Staten Island. They're both going to be on video on demand, PVOD, premium video on demand. So close to 35% of the survey said they never browse premium video on demand. 29% they occasionally browse. 26% only go to the menu looking for a specific movie. So I have been on there. I'll be one of those that's in the viewing, but again, I'm not paying $19.99 for a movie. I'm not going to do it for a 48-hour rental. If you're going to make me pay $20, you might as well have me buy it, because it doesn't make sense to just have it rent and then just go away, especially for that much. That's not reasonable to me. It's too big a price point. Even if you put it at $9.99, I don't think that's a good price point either. I think you got to bring that back down a lot. That's just my opinion. Now, In this, 11% said they often look through PVOD options. So now we're seeing all this is going on here. And when you look at the survey by demographic, 3,269 respondents in the survey, 40% were younger than 35 and were female. And regular moviegoers were part of the sample, 95% having at least seen 2 movies in theaters during a typical 6-month span. Well, if you get me, you would have had me every week, basically. I watch 40 to 45 movies a year. And because I got the subscription plan through Regal, which I hope to get that back very soon and start milking it just like I did before. In the diversity breakdown, 45% Caucasian, 27% Latinx, Hispanic, all right? Oh, God. Latino. How about just call Latino, please? African American, Black, 13%, 9% Asian, 6% other. And so there you go. Interesting story with that. I just don't like this here. I don't want the theater to actually do anything here, putting stuff in this. Like, if you want to put plexiglass on the concession stand, that's fine. I think maybe you go ahead and put it back in the box office the way you had it before, where you had people picking up tickets. Or, maybe you just don't do contactless ticket delivery. I guess maybe you just do something where, if somebody's getting a ticket, you're just kind of doing it more. I mean, maybe recommending more on apps. I don't know what you do, but I think if you do much more touchscreen, you could definitely do that. But the one thing that you're going to have to get the kids to do, because there's mostly young people that work these theaters, is the cleanliness. That's the biggest thing that's got to happen here, because everything else is a very comfortable experience. At least where I'm at, my theater, and the other ones that I have around my neighborhood, they're pretty good about it. But you just got to be careful about it. It's got to be extra clean and sanitary. The bathrooms, the concession stands, and make more time for the theaters to be cleaned up. That's where I think it's the best way to go.